So we start the first perek and we start the first verse. So just before we start with the Megillah, I want to explain to you something that we must understand. We have 24 Sifrei Kodesh, Kitvei HaKodesh. Any one of you know what they are? That's what we call the Tanakh. Torah, Nevi'im, Ketuvim. And amongst them we have 24 holy things. That means the holy books, what we call it, and now we go through them. So the Tanakh, it means Torah, Nevi'im, Ketuvim. Torah is the 5 books of Moses. Everyone knows. Nevi'im, how much we was in the Nevi'im? So in the books of the Nevi'im we have 8. And who they are? It's Yoshua, Shoftim, Shmuel, Melachim, Yeshaya, Yirmiyah, Yehezkel, and Tre'asar. So together how many we have? 8 plus 5? 13, remember. Here come the Ketuvim. Ketuvim, it's Tehillim, the book of Tehillim. Everyone know, נכון? Mishle, Iyov, Shir HaShirim, Ruth, Echa, Kohelet, Megillat Esther, Daniel, Ezra, Divrei HaYamim. All together? No. How much? 11. Together, 24. So Megillat Esther became at the beginning, she didn't be into the 24 books. Our sages didn't want to put it in. They wasn't sure. Our sages tell us that only later, years later, the Megillat Esther been into the Ketuvim. Why? Because they wasn't sure, our sages wasn't sure if that book of Tehillim is the right, the book of Megillat Esther is the right book to enter. Only when they read it later on, many years later, and they found out that this miracle of Purim will be forever, then they enter it. Shekoach, Joel, speak loud. Okay, so now we know why Megillat Esther is so important, and it's into the 24 books of Sifrei HaKodesh. We're going to start with the first verse in chapter 1. ויהי בימי אחשוורוש, הוא אחשוורוש, המולך מהודו ועד כוש, 27 ומאה מדינה. Menachem. No, today's you. You read. Okay. Who want to read?
Came to pass in the days of
Loud.
Came to pass in the days of Ashwerosh to reign from Hodu to Cush over 127 provinces.
Okay. It was on the day of Ahashverosh. The Gemara in Masechet Megillah, page 10, 2. אמר רבי לוי, רבי לוי said, בכל מקום שכתוב ויהי, ישנה מסורת, it's not me, I wish. בכל מקום שכתוב ויהי, ישנה מסורת מאנשי כנסת הגדולה, שהוא לשון צער. רבי לוי said to us, in the Gemara of Masechet Megillah, that every place that the word Vayehi mentioned tsar. Tsar, everyone know what does it mean? There is anyone that don't understand? Tsar, it means pain. Taurus, that's the right word, Taurus. In English you say Taurus. So I would say just ask, okay, if that's the place, where do we know that the Jewish people in the time of Ahashverosh, since we become a king, have Taurus? Where is it mentioned? The Agada, the Megillah, I don't know why I go back to Agada again. The Megillah, where is it say in the Megillah that it was Taurus? How do we learn that? Where is the source for it? So let's come. So we're going to start first. I'm going to bring what our sages tell us in the Gemara. That in the time of Ahashverosh, the king Ahashverosh, and I'm going to bring the sources from his name later on, that Ahashverosh actually was a very wicked king. Not only that he was wicked, he put such a bad decree on the Jewish people that we can't explain that. And we see it later on when the Haman HaRasha asked that I'm going to pay you money, I'm willing to pay you money just to kill the Jewish people. What did Ahashverosh say? Took the ring off his head. You can do whatever you want as long as you pay me. So our sages explain, how come? What, Ahasuerus couldn't kill the Jewish people, he's the king. So they explain, no. It wasn't nice to show that the king could kill entire nation. Therefore, they needed a guy like Haman. And when Haman came into the scene, Ahasuerus was more than happy to use him as the black sheep to do the dirty job for the Jewish people, to kill the Jewish people like they wanted. Baruch Hashem, they didn't succeed. But our sages tell us that it's not enough. That wasn't the only reason. If we take the name Ahasuerus and we divide it, we split it, you'll see that the first two words, Aleph, Het, stand for Ah. Ah, it means a brother, nachon? In Hebrew, Ah is a brother. Marad Gidon. Okay, you agree with me. Let's carry on. Then he say, Ahasuerus, Rosh. Nachon? So here we'll see if we're going to bring different opinion that our sages say. That opinion number one, that our sages say, that Hazal tell us that the person that, whoever hear the name Ahasuerus, Hashberosho, that means got a headache. The Gemara tell us in Masechet Megillah that they explain that the person that used to hear the name of Ahasuerus immediately used to get a headache. Do you understand that? Why? That Ahasuerus was so wicked that whoever he were dealing with him have only Taurus. Got to such a Taurus that headache only came from it. You know, in Eretz Israel, when you hear that you have a problem with Mas Achnasa, that means the receiver of revenue, you never sleep at night. So lehavdil, imagine you just hear Ahasuerus, you couldn't sleep at night. Other Mefarshim say, Rash. Is a brother, like we explained. Rash, it means poor. That he make the Jewish people so poor that they didn't have any more money. With all the taxes that he put on the Jewish people and 127 countries that he was ruling, he made them all poor. He made the Jewish people completely poor. Other opinions say that the Gemara bring, Ishhir Shinehem Shel Israel. That means that he make the teeth of the Jewish people black. What's the connection? What the Gemara come to tell us? From the tzores that they have, they didn't have time to look after themselves. From the tzores that they have from the Ahasuerus, their teeth turn black. So now we understand what our sages say in Gemara Masechet Megillah, page 10, page 2, that Bechol Makom, that wherever it's mentioned Vayehi, it means Taurus. Siman letzarot. Let's go to verse 2. And it says like this, בימים ההם, כשבט המלך אחשוורוש על כיסא מלכותו, אשר בשושן הבירה. רסות. Loud.
That in those days when King Ahasuerus sat on his royal throne, it was in Shushan the capital.
Okay. Until that day, Shushan, the city of Shushan, never was the capital. It's never mentioned anywhere that Shushan was the capital. How come that suddenly the Megillah come and tell us, Al Kiseh Malchuto Asher B'Shushan Abira? It's never been mentioned. Our sages asked that. As a matter of fact, the Midrash tell us that what's happened. The Midrash explained. So we have to understand the history of Ahasuerus before we understand what it says. Ahasuerus came from a very simple family. As a matter of fact, it was a very poor family, very lower class, not even middle class, lower class family. And he managed to find, as we explained last week, the treasure. And with that, he bought his kingdom. That's how he managed to become a king. He knew about the chair of Shlomo HaMelech, because Shlomo HaMelech have a chair that have 7 steps into it, a beautiful chair, but no one can sit on it. Because the Paro, when he tried to sit on the chair of HaMelech Shlomo, he actually got bitten. And when he got bitten, he became crippled. That's what they call it, Paro Neche. That he couldn't walk properly anymore. Because on a chair was a lion, was also an eagle. And those one that when Shlomo HaMelech used to sit and judge the Jewish people, if a person just used to lie, the lion used to ground, that the person used to get so frightened that immediately he told the truth. Ahashverosh saw that nice, beautiful chair. He decided, no, I'm going to have a chair exactly like that. Exactly like that, that's no problem. But where you find those craftsmen to build such a chair? The best craftsman that they have in the kingdom was in Shushan HaBirah. And they built a chair. The Midrash said that they built a chair, exactly the same chair. The problem becomes when they finish the chair to build it, it's hard to transport it to the capital. Because the craftsmen say, if you're going to move that chair, there's a good chance that it will break. And all the work that we done, gone for gurnished, Haval. So what did Ahashverosh decide? He made the capital of Shushan. Now, he decided that the city of Shushan will become the capital. Why? Because they couldn't move his chair, that chair that they built for him specially. What he decided that he makes Shushan as a capital. So now we understand what it says here, Al Kiseh Malchuto, on the chair of his Anna, Asher B'Shushan HaBirah, that in Shushan HaBirah. Why in Shushan HaBirah? Because they couldn't move the chair. Ahashverosh decided to make Shushan, the city of Shushan, as the new capital. You follow what I'm saying?
Where is Shushan?
Okay, where is Shushan? Very good. Very, very good question. Shushan, funny enough, you're speaking about it. Shushan today is in Persia. You all know Persia. In Shushan, not far from Shushan, there is the tombstone of Esther and Mordechai. I have a friend that born in Persia.
They say that the Jewish community there looks after that tombstone.
Yes. I'm going to get to it now. Gideon, I'm going to explain that. There is a tomb that belonged to Mordechai and Esther. And it's not far from Shushan, inside in Persia. This tombstone, although there is another opinion that no. Yes, they used to be there. When the Jewish people left Persia, when they came to build Beit Sheni later on, they moved them to Eretz Israel. There is 2 opinions. But the most common opinion, that they are still buried in Persia. They've been looked after there. There's a Jewish people that look after them. And matter of fact, the Jewish community is so small. The Jewish community in Persia is very small. But they still allowed the Jewish people to look after those 2 graves. And actually they look after them very well. Now, if you want to understand if it's close to what today the capital of Persia is Tehran, am I right? Where is it from Tehran? I'm not sure. I didn't done homework on that, but it's not far from there. I can promise you it's not far. It's, from what I understand exactly, it's not far. It's maybe an hour or 2 drive.
People that have been there and they've been to the tombs.
Yes. It's maybe an hour or 2 from Tehran. It's not so far from Tehran. What they call Shushan.
But the place where you ran was from Hodu to Kush. There's Hodu, not Turkey.
No, Hodu is India. Kush is Africa.
Ethiopia.
You call it Ethiopia, we call it Africa. Kush, whenever you mention Kush, it's referring to the part of Africa. Because how do you know? How do we know that it's not exactly Ethiopia, that there is a dispute? And it's very good that you mentioned that. You remember in Makat Kenim, and a plague of lice. Who have a problem? Cush and Mitzrayim. Who decide where the war gonna end? The lice, you remember? So from here you see, where is Ethiopia? Ethiopia, it's not so close to Egypt, huh? If you look at the map, it's at least 3 hours flight, if not more, 4 hours. It's actually more, it's actually 5 hours flight from Ethiopia to Egypt. So it wasn't so close. So to say that he was ruling just up to Ethiopia is not right. Cush, the Mefarshim say, it's Africa. It's not necessarily one part of Africa. It's all African continent. Now we're going to skip a bit because otherwise we'll never finish. Let's move on to verse. We're still in chapter 1, verse 7. And we're going to read it. והשקות בכלי זהב וכלים מכלים שונים ויין מלכות רב כיד המלך. Who want to read? Louis.
The drinks were served in golden goblets, no two goblets alike, and royal wine in abundance, according to the bounty of the king.
If you read that, what would you say about this pasuk? So we have to understand a few things that it's mentioned here, because we're going to go also to the next verse, and we're going to explain the next verse. But before it says kelim mikelim shonim. Kelim, it's vessel. Vessel from a different vessel. I'm translating Hebrew to English. Kelim mikelim shonim. That means all different vessels. How did he translate it?
Goblets.
Goblets. All different goblets. Goblets, it's actually, if you say, it's kind of glass. Am I right?
A wine glass.
A wine glass, a nice wine glass. But here it doesn't say that. It's a kelim mikelim shonim. Different kind of vessel. All different kind of vessel. Why does the Megillah have to tell us that?
Shows the wealth.
Sure?
The wealth.
The wealth, number one. What else? About I talk loud, so when they see you on YouTube, they can hear. Huh?
Those kelim came from the Beit
Oh, kelim of Bet HaMikdash. Very good. Sorry?
Gold goblets.
Gold goblets, okay, obviously. What else? Kelim mikelim shonim.
Lots.
A lot. Oh, that's it. That's what I wanted to hear. Now, Rabota, I'm going to give you figures. I'm just looking here that I'm not going to make a mistake. A lot. Any one of you have any idea how many vessels was there? All different vessels? So I'll tell you. We're going to go. So the Midrash Esther Rabbah. The Midrash Esther Rabbah said, Kelim mikelim shonim. They explained the verse that was Kle Bet HaMikdash. That on a feast that Ahashverosh had, when he brought out, he wanted to show how rich he is. What did he brought? He brought the vessels, all different vessels that was in Bet HaMikdash. And they start using it. And you're not allowed to use those vessels. The Midrash say that they have 5,400 different vessels that was in Bet HaMikdash. Rabotai, can you believe it? And the Jews go and celebrate and drink on those vessels. And Mordechai was shouting, saying to them, you're not allowed to join that feast. Why? Because you're using the vessels that come from where? Bet HaMikdash.
Sorry, how many?
5,400. So from here we see that when it says kelim mikelim shonim, the Midrash, Esther Rabbah tell us that that was the vessel that came from where? Bet HaMikdash. Ahashverosh tried to show how rich he is. He put it out so everyone can use it. Imagine every tameh, every person that is impure to touch those vessels, has v'shalom. Yes, they did. And that, sorry?
This is in Shushan.
Obviously, yeah, that's after 3 years that it came to his power. We spoke last year. I'm skipping. Why am I skipping? Because I looked what we done last year, so I don't want to repeat it. But last year we explained after 3 years that he was sitting as a king. Only then he decided to start getting drunk. And we see now what's going to happen later on. We're going to go now, just now, we're going to get why Vashti didn't want to come to that feast. What's happened there? We'll explain. So it's come to tell us that after 3 years that he was in his power, in his ruling, only then he started the parties. He probably have too much money, too much time. So he didn't have nothing what to do. He didn't have headache like today they have in the world. So it's come to tell you that every day of the feast, they used to take different vessel. Different vessel of what? Of Beit HaMikdash. Now we understand why Mordechai said, do not go to that feast. Don't join that feast. Okay. We go to verse 8. And verse 8 is speaking about something very interesting about the drinks. Let's see what it says. והשתייה כדת אין אונס כי כן יסד המלך על רב ביתו לעשות כרצון איש ואיש. No, we're going to read in English.
And the drinking was according to the law without coercion, for so the king had ordered all the officers of his house that they should do according to every man's pleasure.
Well, what the Megillah come to explain to us? Yes, we explained at the beginning, you remember last week, why it's called Megillat Esther. We take the word Esther, Milshon Hastara. So if we read that, you will understand that the king decided that he allowed to give everyone whatever he liked. If you decide to drink today a wine that you want Cabernet, you get Cabernet. You want Blanc, Blanc. Whatever you want, you'll get. That's it, sir. But it says here something very interesting. Hashtiya kadat. Vehashtiya kadat. Hashtiya, it means the drink. Kadat, it means according
To the law.
how? According to the law. Which law? Which law? En ones. No one force you. Ki ken yasad hamelech. That's how the king decided to. That's what the king rules. Al kol rav beito. What does it mean, al kol rav beito? How did they translate it?
All the officers of his house.
All the officers of his house. Wait. There's a question here. Are you now going to give the drink to your officers, or you're going to give the wine to the entire people that you order? Do you understand the question, Rabotai? Then it says, "La'asot kirtzon ish va'ish," to do the wish of every person. So there is a contradiction here. If you read it, nachon? No, there is no contradiction, because we have to understand what the Ahashverosh done. Ahashverosh brought to his feast, Rabotai, listen carefully. The wine was kosher to the mehadrin of the mehadrin. And the people that open the wine, if he's a Jew, he can open it himself. Do you understand what I'm saying? Kirtzon ish va'ish. Not only that, listen what he said. Al kol rav beito. What does it mean, al kol rav beito? That he offered every person a bottle of wine. If a person is 20 years old, you'll get 21. You're 60 years old, I'll make sure that you get 61, 65. The wine was older than a person. Do you understand what he done, this mamzer? Why did he done it? We'll see now. So the Ahashverosh, when he offered the wine, he offered the years. How old is the wine? Older than the same person that drank it. And the Jewish people fell to the trick. Why? Because they want to be amongst those. Listen, I've been on a feast of a king Ahashverosh. But they forgot that you're not allowed to drink and to use vessel of Bet HaMikdash. Number one. Number two, we have halacha that you're not allowed to have a drink with a goy. Why? Why not allowed to have a drink with a goy? The Gemara explained that, I'm going to make it short, that Shema, that there is a hashash because you become too close and you're going to marry your kids with his kids. So it's going to be assimilation. So all of those averot, they done. Now you understand how wicked was Ahashverosh. Now you understand how dangerous he is. He didn't come and he say, I'm the Hamas. I'm going to blow you up. I'm going to kill you. No. He come nicely, gently. That's Ahashverosh. Rabotai, up to here we didn't hear yet Haman. Haman going to start only in chapter 3. So now you understand all the tactics of Ahashverosh. When we read the Megillah, we don't see it like this. When we listen to the Mefarshim, we see. Now, how much time? Sorry, Russell. Yes.
But if he was trying to wipe the Jews out, isn't this a contradiction in what he's saying?
Let's see. Very good question. Rabotai, did you understand what Russell tried to say? No. If you, sorry? You didn't hear. Russell, ask loud. Speak loud.
If Ahasuerus was trying to kill the Jews and make them poor and do everything, isn't this a contradiction in terms of offering them the wine and bringing them into the...
Very good, very good. Listen to me. When you poor person, first thing, if someone going to say to you, listen, you coming tomorrow, you've been invited by the king to the feast. Which poor person wouldn't want this honor? And even if you're not poor, which one didn't want to go and shake the hand of Zuma or shake the hand of, what is his name, the president of Obama, Barack Obama? Imagine you get a letter from Obama, private letter. Obama say, Russell, this is a private letter to you. I promise you, many people would put a big frame to show, oh. So imagine to be invited to the feast. But how he wanted to get rid of them? By that you destroy the nationality. The roots as a Jewish, finished. There's no more Judaism. If you marry out of the faith, here you cut the change. There's no more. One that a Jewish person, I'm talking about a male, and he married out of the faith, there's no more. His kids, he break the change. We know that, that's halacha, pashut. You understand? So it wasn't only just physically. He used every tactic to kill the Jewish people. We have 5 minutes, am I right?
No.
Let's do one more verse. We go to verse 12. Sorry? ותמאן המלכה ושתי לבוא בדבר המלך אשר ביד הסריסים ויקצוף המלך מאוד וחמתו בערה בו. Verse 12, chapter 1. No, who's reading?
I'm looking for 12. But Queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment, conveyed by the chamberlains. The king therefore became very incensed, and his anger burned in him.
Okay, what's happened here? When all the kings and all the ministers sit from 127 countries, they all get drunk. And what's happened? Bayom HaShvi'i, on the 7th day, that's happened on the 7th day. They all got drunk after 7 days of feasting, drinking, eating. They enjoy it. So you're sitting amongst all different kind of presidents. You have the ruler of that, the Limpopo River, you have the ruler of Khartoum. Everyone's, you know who's the best beautiful girl in Khartoum? The other one say no, they're from Persia. The other one say no, they're from India, and on and on. Ahasuerus said to all of them, shush, all of you. You must see my wife, Vashti. She's the most beautiful. And you know, when they get drunk, they talk about nonsense. So they say, if you say that she's so pretty, it's not the chokhmah for her to come with the makeup, with the dress, with everything. We want to see her naked. He said, no problem. Listen how Ahasuerus was. Completely. Vashti wanted to come. Vashti wanted to come naked. She had no problem to come naked. So how come that here she refused to come? So the Gemara tell us, and the Gemara bring that what's happened there. The Gemara in Masechet Megillah say that Akadosh Baruch Hu first of all brought on her, and he bring the midrash. The Gemara bring the midrash that leprosy. Akadosh Baruch Hu put a leprosy on her body. Not only that, sorry?
He gave her a tail.
No, that's the angel. The angel came and he put a tail on her back. So she said, I'm going to come to that feast. I'm going to come naked and I'm going to come full of leprosy. I can't come like this to show myself. So she refused to come. Now we understand here, Vatemaena Malka Vashti Lavo. Why did she refuse? Not that she refused because she didn't want to show her beauty. Not because she was worried, Haz v'shalom, for modesty. She was more than welcome to come naked. And we're going to go and see why did she been punished. Sorry, I'm going to finish now. I'm going to finish with that now. You know what she been punished? How did Vashti been killed? That's the hanger, that's one thing. But she been died naked. You know that? The Gemara say, and the Midrash also bring that when they killed her, what? Naked. Why? You know why? Because she used to force the Jewish woman slave in her place, in her palace, to work naked, number one. Number two, she used to force them to work on Shabbos. To do all the work on Shabbos naked. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, Pasok, you starting with my own kids? Midah keneged midah, measure for measure. You done it to my children. The same way, I'll punish you. And who gonna do that? Your own husband. He gonna kill you. And that's what's happened.
So he killed her now.
Sure.
Just after they killed her.
Yeah, finished.
Didn't they bring her head in or something?
Yeah, but they killed her. If they bring the head or didn't bring the head, they hang her. They killed her.